We are here to celebrate the life of Vincent Anthony Acasano. We want to thank family and friends for your love and support, and connect the hospice with people that cared for him for the compassionate care of his younger life. We also appreciate the sharing and serving service people that love him. Thank you to the family and friends that provide father that reflected in his serious love and his greatest generation. He gave the miracle when people faced hard times. We overcame that with hard work. Vincent was born in Santa Maria, Italia, on November 9, 1917. And he would ask that we come together for the love and compassion to take time in the memory of his death. The resident man who stood his feet at the funeral of his friend, and he referred to the date on his tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that the first thing David was, but he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years, where that dash represents all the time that he spent alive on earth. And now only those who loved him know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live in love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that can still be rearranged. If we could just slow down enough to consider what's true and real, and always try to understand the way other people feel, and be less quick to anger, and show appreciation more, and show love to the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash may only last a while. So when your eulogy is being read, with your life action to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say of how you spent your dash? We were blessed to be part of his dash. We knew the dashing Vinny as father, grandfather, great-grandfather, husband, brother, uncle, cousin, friend, neighbor, merrymaker, mentor, banker, connoisseur of life, and faithful servant of God. In 1928, at the age of 10, he came across the high seas on the Caute Bianco Magno, which means white ship. He sailed with his brother Frank and two sisters, Mary and Nina, to join his parents that came to New Haven to make a new life and to earn citizenship. The Acasano family made Wallace Street and Grant Avenue their home. And growing up, Vinny and his brother sold newspapers at the corner of Chapel and Orange. And even at a young age, he was quite that businessman. He was a diligent hard worker. He attended New Haven College at night and worked flexible hours during the day at United Cigar Store so that he could fund his college degree. And that he did. In June of 1938, he used his college degree and his exceptional math skills to obtain a job as a bookkeeper at Community Bank and Trust. And after 40 years of banking, 3 bank mergers, Vincent Acasano, who came over on that ship, retired as vice president and branch manager of the East Haven office of the Colonial Bank. Vinny was family and community-minded as president of the West Haven Fish and Game, the East Haven Chamber of Commerce, and he was also president of the East Haven Exchange Club. He was a natural-born leader and proud of his Italian heritage. He was the last surviving member of the St. Catullus Society that was born in Castellamare di Stabia. Vinny was a man with a life of purpose. Vincent means victorious, sympathetic, loving, studious, and interesting conversationalist. And those that know Vinny know that he was every one of those things. No matter what we called him, he always rose to the call of the other named Fred. Cousin Bob from California reminded us of how special that whistle was. He had that Vinny whistle, and he could always get your attention. He was victorious in life even when sorrow knocked on his door. During the dark times, when he was near his friend, little friend call upon his faith and he would say, God closes the door and opens the window. He made it a ritual when health permitted to attend church daily and pray for his family. And with a bountiful faith, he weathered the unpredictable storms of life with an attitude of great latitude. He reminded us that every knock is a boost. Vinny was a perpetual romantic and a matchmaker. He was instrumental in uniting Nina and Tom and took great pride in his part in facilitating a happily ever after marriage. And when it came to his beloved wife, Betty, he was starry-eyed. After 40 years of marriage, he gazed at her with adoration and couldn't walk past her without a love tap or a pat on the hand. He devotedly doted on his little girl, and in both sickness and health, his love was constant. In the center of his own personal health challenges, he chose to be independent and not dependent. He lived life on his terms and demonstrated grace and dignity in the shadows of adversity. And to the end, when asked, "How are you feeling?" he'd say, "You know what he said. You all heard it, right? We could say this in unison. I can't complain." And then with a twinkle in his eyes, he'd cast that charismatic Vinny smile, and he'd remind us that God was in charge. One of the last things that he said to my son Scott in a conversation over the holidays was, "Don't take life too seriously. Make sure that in the course of your years, you make time to have fun." Like a true banker, he invested in other people. He would save time for one-to-one conversation. No wonder he became vice president of Colonial Bank. He was adept at treating people like customers and serving others. He saw himself as an instrument of God, and through self-awareness, he did his best to care for those that he loved. He opened his home and his heart to others. He taught me that wisdom and humor could be served alongside a meal that starts early on a Sunday afternoon and extends till dusk time. Vinny the jokester watched gleefully when I was dating Ray. As I sampled my first artichoke, ate the prickly center, and nearly choked on it. After I was done trying to swallow it, he said, "Next time I'll show you how the Italians do it." Get him and Frank together, and he never knew what would happen. Cousin Gloria recalls that Frankie and Vinny used to get into it over their height. They liked to argue that the other was so short that you could eat a plate of spaghetti off their heads. Over the years, we shared meals, and though he and Betty were sensational cooks, the best part of any meal was the generous servings of love and humor. Anthony comes from the Greek name meaning worthy of praise, and worthy it is. I've captured some other remembrances. His son Ray remembers that he loved Christmas. He played Santa. He'd ride on the cart in the back of the tractor and deliver toys to kids in the neighborhood. And he had just that right Vinny twinkle. He could pull that off, but in the reality of all of it, he had the spirit of giving, and that was a present he gave to us day in, day out, through all that time within his dash. Kathy reminisces that she would always close a day with "Good night, I love you, and sweet dreams to my favorite dad." He was one of a kind. Charlene fondly remembers that he loved going to the Olive Garden for lunch and a martini. And even on his 94th birthday, they toasted life. Salute, Vinny. You are loved. You are missed. When Vinny was asked about his dad's favorite things, his memories immediately turned to baseball. The New York Yankees were a passion of his. He especially loved to talk about all the good Italian players. Joe Torre, Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra, holy cow, Phil Rizzuto. And we all know what Vinny told us, that every Italian baseball player was the best baseball player that ever lived. A favorite story that I heard from Mary Ann is that Vinny decided at one point in time to take Italian lessons at Amity High School. The thing is, Vinny didn't tell the instructor that he spoke fluent Italian. So the last day of class, when all the class members were assigned to stand up and tell a story in Italian, Vinny, of course, spoke in impeccable Italian. And when the teacher said, "Vinny, I had no idea you could speak like this," he kind of looked at him and said, "I was born in Italy." His grandson, Johnny, said that he's doing what he's doing, providing medical care in Iraq, because his grandfather loved him enough to tell him he was a screw-up. He said that his grandfather's words helped change his life, and that he's in eternal debt to him for making him the man that he can be proud of today. Vinny appreciated friends, his honorary brother next door, Lenny. Lenny did a lot of wonderful things for Vinny. Thank you. Vinny loved Italy. He loved the beauty and romance and ambiance of the country. When my husband Ray and I were dating, and Ray was in the Navy, he was going to be stationed in Guyana. Vinny decided it was time to teach me Italian. He liked to reminisce about his treasured birthplace that's located a short distance from the seaside town of Santa Lucia. Together we recorded the song and sent it to Ray. And the last time I met with Vinny, I told him that 40 years later, I still remember learning that song as though it were yesterday. And we sang it together, and I can't sing anywhere near as well as the wonderful lady who's rejoiced with us today. But you know what? Bear with me. If I was an American Idol, you could vote me off. But this is a German girl up here who learned to be Italian, and I am darn proud of it. So this is for you, Ben. Su mare lucica, l'astro d'argento, la sera l'onda, prospero il vento. Su mare lucica, l'astro d'argento, la sera l'onda, prospero il vento. Venite l'angeli, porcetta mia, Santa Lucia, Santa Lucia. The lyrics are words of a boatman describing the view from Santa Lucia. It's night, the moon is reflected on the sea, and he tells us of the indescribable magic that one can feel watching boats as they sail softly, driven by gentle breezes. I'd like to think of Vinny now, experiencing that same indescribable magic in the presence of God. Our special angels sailing softly to the shores of heaven, his own Il Paradoso, shining bright, shining eternal. In closing, let's reflect on the words of Bishop Brent in a poem entitled, What is Thine? A ship sails and I stand watching till she fades on the horizon, and someone at my sign says, she's gone. Gone where? Gone from my sight? That's all. She is just as large now as when I last saw her. Her diminished size and total loss from my sight is in me, not in her. And just at that moment when someone at my side says, she's gone, there are others that are watching her coming over the horizon, and other voices take up a glad shout and they say, there she comes. And that is what dying is, a horizon and just the limit of our sight. Lift us up, O Lord, that we may see further. I love you, Benny.